I'm going to turn off my cell phone. Oh, I must have turned it off. Okay. So let's
Take a
breathe.
deep breath.
Yeah, thank you, Norman. Let's breathe down into the stillness together. Maybe Farina will join us here. Yeah, full breath. And coming back to the screen, breathing together here in the shared stillness. So I'll go first.
Sure.
Okay, Norman, may I have your eyes?
Absolutely.
Checking in with Lee, starting with the breath, starting now. Well, sometimes it's nice to have a men's group. And I'm in great flux this morning, as you'll hear from my turn that I'll take. But I really just want to breathe for now and feel the solidity within me that I feel is falling apart all around me on many levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Who'd like to go first? Norman?
Second.
Second, you're right. So Norman checking in through my eyes on the screen, starting with the breath, starting now.
I too just want to breathe. Feels good to breathe. Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Norman.
Thank you, Norman. Stephen, checking in through my eyes, starting with the breath, starting now.
Last night, I found comfort, as I always do, almost always, in bed next to Alice. That's simple. And I don't know what it had been, but it was a sort of a flat day somehow. Maybe it's that civilization is falling apart. I'm not sure. And who knows what will happen now. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you,
Lee.
Stephen.
Thanks, Norman.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen.
Check my timer here. Okay. Lee, 6 minutes. Starting with a breath, calling a name to the camera, starting now. So, Stephen, I've been doing these democracy circles. I did 5. And I wrote in my newsletter that I need to have more balance because almost everybody coming is on the left. I want balance, you know. Well, Thursday I had my wish. There were 2 people identified as conservative, and 3 of us identified as liberal. And it was extremely civil, and we all talked about values, and it was nice. And not much about politics, but it was like the beginning of a conversation. But I carried on with one of the people. We started having an email conversation. And as we were civilly in conversation, I began to realize that he's a full-scale Trumpy. And still being civil, Norman.
Yeah, I was just gonna do that.
Thank you. Sorry, Steve. Still being civil. I think the conversation is moving to a new level because we're not going to fight. But what I want to say is, okay, we both believe there's big lies. One of us is 100% sure that the other one believes the big lies, and the other one believes the other. You know, we both believe that the big lies are coming from the other side. Lee, I'm going to call him my name sometime. So that's what I want to agree with him, because we can't agree. The other stuff, it's like freaking crazy. I mean, he asked me a bunch of questions. Have I actually seen racism personally? And one of his questions was, have you actually seen Trump supporters do anything of danger to the republic? And I wrote, does that count on TV and video? And he wrote, oh, well, yeah, people who break the law should be prosecuted. And you could tell he wasn't coming right out and saying he wants President Trump to be president, Stephen. And to me, wanting Trump to be president in 2024 is akin to wanting Hitler to be Chancellor of Germany next year. Norman? So, and we're still being civil. And we started civilly, and I think we're committed to civil conversation. So I want to say, can we agree that the fact that there is such a polarity is reason for grief? That's the worst part. Country is torn apart by this, Lee, by this polarity. We haven't gotten to that conversation because he's just on the verge of acknowledging, he's afraid to say he's for Trump, I'm sure, because he knows what kind of vitriol that will be. And I want to say, I'm not going to yell at you but let's be clear. And at the same time, Stephen, somebody sent me a book called Our Earth. And it's a perspective on the widest level that the political upheaval is, and the climate upheaval and all the crap going on, is, Norman, it's a movement. We're going to have decades where we're moving from like a caterpillar to a butterfly, where we're going to have such strife and craziness, but we have to keep the faith, Stephen, that it's a process that we could come out the other side. But in order to get there, we have to grieve. First step, grieve the loss of what we're losing. I'm not saying it's going to be fine, but Lee, grief is traumatic only when it's not communicated and heard. So we've got a lot of grief to transmit to. And I want to tell him, show him the book, send him the book. Norman, can we agree that something terrible, they're not even saying terrible, because the book, it's really written from such a beautiful perspective that not sugarcoating anything, but saying we're transforming, we're initiating we're into an adult civilization, into an adult humanity or something. And I'm going to read more of the book because I'm having difficulty articulating, but it's going to take decades. decades of, he did, it's not in the book, that I don't think the book has anything political in it other than saying incredible political upheaval and violence. Oh, Lee, I'll do that. That's about it. That's as far as I can go. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Actually,
I'll take appreciations. Norman,
Infinite patience.
infinite patience. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stephen,
heartfelt and grounded.
heartfelt and grounded. Thank you, Stephen.
Actually,
Yeah, big breath. 6 minutes with Norman, starting with breath, calling someone to the camera, including sometimes yourself, starting now.
I think I became more, Lee, I think I'm becoming more aware of competitiveness with my younger brother. And it's a little uncomfortable to feel, Stephen. I'd rather see myself as superior or higher up, but I'm starting to see my competitiveness with him. I'm doing much better than I would say he is, but what bothers me is I like to get to a point where I could be humble, and he can't be humble and feel superior at the same time, Norman. Either you're humble but you can't do both. It's impossible, Norman. So I just want to, this session, I feel like, Lee, just to open up and just admit my competitiveness with my younger brother. And I don't know if it's possible, but even accept his limitations. Like I've offered him to help him with his taxes. He's about 2 years behind. He doesn't take my help. I've offered to do other things. He doesn't take my help. So Stephen, I think I need to just not overreact and just accept he's at where he's at and try to stay humble. And it's very difficult for me to stay humble, but it's a place I want to go to. Because when I come across people who are humble, it touches me, Norman. Really touches me when I could come across people that are humble. They're not superior, they're just a person with value. And my kids, I've been thinking about purchasing this gas station just to Lee to purchase this gas station to keep myself busy because even though all the exercise, I get bored. So my sons have been giving me feedback, Lee, and they've been saying I'm very defensive. And so at least I'm starting to admit I'm defensive, Stephen. I'm starting to admit I am defensive. So instead of pretending I'm not, I'm admitting I am defensive and just trying to take in as much as I could take in without being defensive. So if it's 15 minutes of getting feedback, Norman, I'll take the 15 minutes and just say, look, this is all I can handle now. In other words, I'm setting limits, Lee, for myself, what I could handle. But they are right, I am defensive. And yes, Stephen, I am competitive with my younger brother. How he treats his son, his oldest son, I'm not happy how he treats him, but Stephen, I have to accept it's his son. It's not my son, it's his son, you know? So I think this is a big, Norman, this is a big admitting period that you're defensive about things you don't want to hear and that you're competitive with your younger son. And Lee, I think it's a big opening for me to kind of admit this and see where it goes over time. I love the process, Lee, of growing, continued growth, continuing seeing the world the way it is. Sometimes I'm not happy with what I see, but nothing's going to change me. I'm a lefty. I'm a lefty, Lee. Stephen, I'm a lefty, and sometimes I ask myself why. And my younger brother is a Trumpian, and my older brother, who's a retired lawyer, is a Trumpian. I'm a lefty. It's just the way it is. I'm happy I am the way I am. So my days mostly in the morning when I wake up are good. I get some rest. About 2, 3 o'clock, I'm very tired and I'm very agitated and I have what they call chemo brain. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, Stephen. The Norman, all I can say is just keep doing what you're doing. Try to do the best you can. Supposedly my chemo is going to get easier because they're using less heavy drugs starting next Tuesday. It's going to be less heavy drugs, so that everyone's saying things are going to be easier, Lee. Everyone's saying things are going to be easier. So I'm happy. But Lee, I've hurt my hip, so I have to see a orthopedic. I'm getting some help with sleep. I'm going to see a psychiatric nurse, see if she's got anything to help me with sleep. So I don't know. Either I feel like I'm a mess, Steve, or I'm living my life. Can I tell you? Is time up, Lee, or do I have time?
I'm just about ready to put my finger up.
Okay, well, I'm finished. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you.
Stephen.
Thank you, Norman.
Thank you.
Norman, inspiringly clear-headed.
Inspiring, clear-headed. Thank you, Lee. Stephen?
Yeah, clarity and flow.
Clarity and flow. Thank you, Stephen. Clarity and flow, inspired, light. Inspired, what was that, Lee? Inspired,
Inspiringly clear-headed.
inspiringly clear-headed.
Yeah.
And what was that, Stephen?
Clarity and flow.
Clarity and flow. Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman.
Thank you, Norman.
Thank you. 6 minutes with Stephen, starting with a breath and calling a name to the camera. Standing now.
Sorry. We were just having with my computer. Could you guys hear me the whole time? Something happened. with my
Yes,
computer.
can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. So, Norman, um, I don't know quite where I am this morning. Lee, I'm interested in finding out where I am. Stephen, this is a really unusual occurrence that I'm in a group with 2 other men talking to myself at the moment. And on top of that, not knowing where I am to begin with. Norman, I said just now that I want to know. And I do. But all the little ways I have of finding out, getting back in touch with myself, they all sound trite to me. Lee, I don't know whether I quite believe in what I'm saying. I don't know quite what to do. Stephen, there is meditation. And there's focus on something else. Lots of things to focus on besides what's going on with me. For example, Norman, I have a list of things that I'd like to get done at the moment. None of them is coming to mind. Well, one or two of them are. Part of the problem, Lee, is that I find myself involved in so many groups like this one, so many Zoom meetings, something like this one. Each one a little bit different, each one with a different approach. And Stephen, I've been wanting to integrate them in my mind. I've been wanting to see how the different approaches relate to one another. I've always wanted to do that, to make sense out of complexity. Norman, that was always one of the ways that, maybe the main way that I kept myself content was I don't even know if this is true, but making connections, yes, making associations between one idea and another, relating them all. And Leah, now I'm not sure what that's for. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Bless you.
Stephen, creative, no, it was courageous transparency.
Courageous transparency. Thank you, Lee.
Stephen,
Norman.
writing, like writing, R-I-D-I-N-G, writing the wave of clarity.
Riding a wave of clarity. Thank you, Norman.
You're welcome. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Let's do 2-minute closings, looking anywhere. Anywhere but back there. Lee, starting with a breath, starting now. Well, I'm just looking around at our triangle, appreciating it, appreciating you guys for just being in the not knowing. It's being creatively in the not knowing. And I think it's the most rational place to be. And one of the things in the book I'm reading, the author comes up with a different kind of traumatic stress. Post-traumatic stress disorder, he says, is very much dealing with personal stress. Like not the body, the being can't process the stress, so it becomes a disorder. And he's calling it a planetary something stress, which is the stress we're all feeling from the planet going through whatever it's going through. And that if it affects everybody, even if people think they're on the other side of it, it's in our being. And it's going to last a long time. And the only way to deal with this trauma is to be heard. If a trauma, people don't keep their trauma if it's truly heard. I mean, that's the way out. That's how we treat trauma, personal trauma. So now, as a communities, and it's funny, it points right to speaking circles as a mode of people being heard around what's, so it's beyond the personal into the, oh my God, we're fucking killing ourselves. This is what I feel like. I want to be able to scream that now. I don't feel yet safe screaming. Maybe I want to create screaming circles to deal with this planetary trauma where each of us feels the grief, maybe cries, maybe I'll get to cry. But the other stuff is now becoming, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Actually,
Completing with Norman, starting with a breath. Starting now.
I like to get more comfortable with my breathing. When I go to bed at night, I breathe a bit, and then I say to myself, how long can I do this for? And I love to get comfortable with my breathing. Just be able to go around and breathe. Let people talk around me, hear what they're saying, but to breathe so I can be present. So presence seems to be a big goal of mine. That's the best thing to say, goal of mine. I have some other goals. I have some young people I'm going to start the speaking circle with. I believe that goals of mine are learning to breathe, learning to be present, and learning just to take in, even if I'm not happy with it, not be happy with it. Just learn to see the world, see myself, be humble, breathe. When I allow myself to do that, a lot of pain comes up. So sometimes I cry during the day. I may cry once or twice during the day. I just start crying. And it's that little kid who felt like he was so alone in the world, The little kid was so alone. But that's okay. So this is a process of being, feeling, seeing, breathing, most important, breathing. And then the pain comes up, and that's okay too. That's okay. I'm finished. I'm
Thank
cooked.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Norman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Completing with Stephen, starting with a breath.
yeah. Breathing. Breathing tells me I'm alive. I'm okay. Everything is as it is. Here I am. Everything is as it is, which means it's as it should be. And all I need to do is look inside and ask myself, where am I at this moment? What do I need? And come up with something, whatever it is, anything. And try to scope out one little step, one small step that feels like it's in the right direction toward that thing. And safe. Okay, so I have that. So I move in that direction and I see warmer. Yeah, warmer. Okay. Another breath. Another little step. And then I stop and ask myself, okay, how about a little bit bigger step? Maybe I can see the thing I need. It could be several tiny little steps away. It could be any number of tiny little steps away. Or maybe I can get a lot closer in a bigger step. Let's try that. See if that feels safe. One breath at a time, one step at a time. That still works. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Oh, thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Norman.
Thank you, Lee.
Very
Good job,
good.
group, Lee. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Do you want, Norman, you want to come back next Monday?
Next Monday?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Okay, Stephen, are you on for next Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, Lois will be back, and I'm sure we'll get one or two others of the wonderful folks.
Lee, I'm a lifer.
Good. That's why I want you to, that's why I insist that you stay alive. Bye.
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 Have a great week. Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.